Mike Minard. Yeah, you get it right.
You got it right, yeah.
Because on box rec it doesn't say that, does it?
No, Maynard. Maynard, yeah. So I'm hoping that gets rectified soon.
Well, hopefully they'll be rectified and it'll say 1-0. Because on Friday you make your debut at Liverpool's Devonshire Hotel.
Yeah.
But I come to catch up with you because you signed with Steve. I think was it back in January, February?
January, yeah. So the years just flew by. Like, but yeah, January was when I went to see Steve.
But if everything goes well, it could be brilliant for you because if you can get out on Friday, and then I think we've got you penciled in for September the 24th at Highton.
Yeah, that's right. So all being, all going well and what have you, and staying fresh, I could potentially be 3-4-0 by Christmas. Obviously, that's the essence of being in this gym as well, as a connection with Black Flash Promotions. So, and Steve's cool with Black Flash. So
yeah,
it could be an opportunity for me to go 4-0 by Christmas.
Well, like I say, it's all about tickets and popularity. It seems like you're a very popular lad, so hopefully it won't be too hard for you. But before we talk about the fight, because actually this is a strange one, because we've already got an opponent, which is not unusual, because normally up until about 2 days before the fight it can change, but you're making against the debut, so we'll talk about it later on. Let's find out about you, because we was chatting before and boxing wasn't your first love. Football was?
Yeah, football. I was known as a goal. Well, I was like quite a
Mr. Safe Hands.
Yeah, Mr. Safe Hands. That's what I was. All through sort of my childhood, I played football. Quite a good standard. I was known as quite a. So
when did it change from football to boxing then?
Well, when I went into secondary school, I started like sort of recently playing for Blackpool at the time, and my dad. He took me up to St Aloysius in Highton with Kenny Willis just to sort of keep fit, because the boxing training definitely complements a goalkeeper. So he was right about that, and so I went up there, started doing my training, improved on my agility, improved on my strength, fitness, aggression, these are all sorts of components that a good goalkeeper needs. And Kenny Willis just kind of got in my head, and I just fell in love with boxing then, and I was sort of split between the two, and obviously I've just sort of kept my hand in both of them all the way through, but boxing just seemed to be the more dominant one. Yeah, I'd say later on in my life, obviously when I was a really young child, say 4, 5, 6, I was playing football, and then when I got to like secondary school, when I was like 12, 13, that's when boxing sort of took the lead then.
So. But didn't you go in the Navy or something?
Yeah, I was in the Navy.
So are you out of the Navy now then?
Yeah, I'm out now.
Did you box in the Navy then as well?
Yeah, I boxed in the Navy for a bit. That kind of opened my eyes to levels of boxing, to be honest with you. Like, obviously I knew there was good and very good and elite. That kind of opened my eyes to that, because I always sort of I was quite confident as a boxer, but then when I went into the Navy and I joined the Navy squad, obviously you've got different levels in the Navy. You've got your unit, and then you've got the overall Royal Naval Squad. And when I first went in the Navy, like when you're doing the introductions and stuff like that, was the first thing I said is I want to represent the Navy, and I got to. Thankfully enough, I done what I wanted to do, and it was just being surrounded by top lads.
Well, you've got to admit, if sometimes the armed forces not necessarily always the most skillful, but they're definitely always fit.
Oh yeah, 100%. But the coach at the time, Graham Alderson, his name was. He's I think he's in Tokyo now actually with the GB squad.
Right.
He was I think he was a development squad coach when he was still in the. He was a Royal Marine. He was still in the Navy, like still looking after the Navy squad. But now he's the podium. I think he's a podium squad coach now over in Tokyo, so he had that connection with Sheffield, and I had the opportunity to go up there at one point and do a couple of rounds with some the GB lads. And
so okay then, when did you finish in the Navy then?
2016.
So then what's that, 5 years ago then?
Yeah.
So did you then go back into boxing back in Civvy Street?
Well, as soon as I left, I started doing like a lot of personal training, fitness coaching, and obviously my background being boxing.
Yeah.
All of my work was based around boxing fitness. So I was quite a bit of a pad man. I was taking copious amounts of rounds of pads every single week. I was just spending too much time behind the pads rather than in front of them, because I didn't sort of completely step away from the game. I was just doing a different thing within boxing.
You have boxed amateur since you left the Navy, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
And
so
what club would that be?
Well, I was training Four Corner with Mick Stevenson,
right, yeah.
John Gillies and whatever. So that was good. That was quality setup. Bit of a mission for me, bit out the way, north end of Liverpool and whatever.
I've never been to the gym. I've heard lots about it.
Yeah,
I've never been to the gym.
It's a tough gym, like it's a tough gym. And
it's got a good reputation, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, at the time they wasn't really affiliated with England boxing, but I was getting coached by Mick Stevo. I was always doing their classes, and I was actually under the registration of Kirkdale, but Mick done me corner when I boxed Wickham King, like we said before.
Oh right, yeah. Mossing Colliers again, the connection, because that's where he's just turned pro himself now. I think he's fighting up with Paulie De Silva.
Yeah. So
she's making her debut as well on the same night as you.
That's it. She should have came in then, but it's just funny enough that Wayne was in his corner. And
in your opponent, Wickham, of course,
yeah. His corner, and just so happens to be on me now with Wayne, so. Yeah.
So what gave you I remember you telling me before, because when I first spoke to you, you were talking about training with Michael Jones, the guy who had 3 fights with Jamie Moore, former British and Commonwealth champion.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen, but you trained under George Schofield, who we see all the time on our shows. He's always in the corner training to JJ Metcalf.
Yeah, so basically the situation there was Georgie introduced me to Steve Wood. I signed with Steve, but he always made it clear to me, like, look, my priority is Jay, which obviously I respected that.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for the time of day that Georgie gave me, regardless of.
Great guy.
He's a top man, and he's went out his way for me, which is, if Georgie's doing that for someone, and obviously it's a massive thing. So, with regards to Mike Jones, he was in Gibraltar at the time, and I was messaging him, and his intentions was to train some professionals and what have you. So I was speaking to him, and then I've spoke to Michael. He came to a couple of charity events that I've done in the past, and so that's why I approached him.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know when he was coming home or nothing like that. So I didn't sort of have a crystal clear plan. And obviously, with me being 27 in February, I was 27 in February. I needed to get the ball rolling
as quickly as possible.
Quite quickly, and Georgie sort of.
Well, it looks like he's going to roll, and he's going to roll very quickly for you.
And that's it. That's what I've needed.
There's a good possibility you could be 4-0.
Yeah.
Before fingers crossed, everything goes well. You could be 4-0 before Christmas. So certainly, that's you've compiled a year record inside 6 months.
Yeah, so I've caught up basically.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that a couple of things have. This big COVID-19 is a massive spanner in the works for a lot of fighters. Luckily, I've came in at the right time in terms of I've trained all the way through, and I've always sort of had in my head it's going to be soon that I'm going to be fighting and whatever. So
I presume now, you've been in this gym and you've got the connection with Mossing Colliers. You've also had the opportunity to move around with some quality kids. Does that give you the confidence of, when you make this pro, that where you think you could go, and where is that?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the first part that I had, I was only here for a week, and Wayne said, "Oh yeah, you're sparring on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was." And that was that.
The Kazakhstan kid.
Yeah, Kul Ahmed. I think that's
Kul Ahmed.
However you pronounce it, but he came up with.
They just call him the Beast.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome, but like I say, coming into a gym and then getting told to sparring him, that just shows the level of sort of connection that Wayne's got. And for me, it's about being. I think if you're the strongest in the room or you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
and that's what I needed to be. I needed to be at the bottom of the pecking order. I needed to be
and be able to look up someone where you want to be as well.
Basically, the same drill as what it was in the Navy. Being, getting into that squad. And then
so you like pushing yourself then?
Yeah, because I don't think how are you going to. You're not going to develop. You're not going to become. You're not going to step up if you're not continuously surrounded by people who are better.
It's a good attitude to have in boxing, like I say. And then no one knows how good or how bad you can be until you take that first step. And like I say, we have loads of kids that signed with us, and some of them have been good amateur champions, really good amateur, but young. So again, we're not sure where they can go, because unless you fought as an elite fighter, it's hard to judge. But when you win 2, 3, 4 national titles, I think it says that there's probably a good chance that you can go a long way. And then we've got a lot of kids that have I mean, a lot of, I think what did you say, about 28 fights, did you say you had?
About 25 fights I had as an
Well, we've kids who signed with a lot less than that, but they've done well in the novice competition. Which is that what you fought Wickerman in the novice competition?
I fought in novices a couple of times. I fought in, obviously as a junior, I was in the junior EBAs and whatever as well. So.
I always say the novice though is the one that tells you whether you've got the right ingredients to make a good pro. Because not necessarily everyone's the best boxer in the world, but if you do well in that tournament, you know you can fight. You know what I mean? Because I've never watched a bad novice competition, whether it's under 10s or under 20s. We shouldn't call it the novice, it's the development championship.
Because there's some top.
There is.
There's people who've gone into the novices and then won the EBAs a year later.
And not only that, the kids who've done well in those and have turned over always do well as a pro as well. I think Masha does. One of our old fighters, I think he won the under 10s and under 20s. But let's get back now to Friday, because as I was saying before, you've actually got an opponent, and this is a real unusual one because you're making your debut and so is your opponent.
So be it, like, you know what I mean? Doesn't fight and me could have had 100 fights, could have had one fighter, but like we were saying before, if you fight an opponent who's got a massive record or a lot of fights on the card, then you can kind of see where you're at. You
can't go with this. You've no idea. You've no idea. I mean, I presume Wayne has some insight into it because he's matched you, and you're basically your fighter. You're his fighter. So he must have a feeling that you'll be able to deal with him, but it must. Going in this is like amateur days, going into someone that you've no idea of what he's bringing to the table.
Well, that's just it just lines up like a decent fight, then, doesn't it? It just lines up the fact that it's real. It's going to be a real fight. Like you're saying here, as an amateur, sometimes
you could wait, right, in your professional career. You could wait at least 6 or 7 fights before this happens again. Because you do need those learning fights. I don't care who you are. The amateurs and pro games are the two different sports. Have you found much difference since you've been training as a pro now with this in your head? Have you had to adapt, or was your style as an amateur always pretty much suited to the pro game?
100%. Like completely different animal at the moment. As an amateur, I was nowhere near as sort of nutritionally educated as what I am now. I was always following different bad habits in terms of making weight. There was times where there was a particular fight when I was in the Navy, and I drove from Portsmouth to Plymouth after being on a treadmill, complete empty stomach. And as soon as I weighed in, I was on the scales within half an hour later. As soon as I got off the scales, I was in the ring within half an hour later. So completely depleted.
Did you win though?
No, I lost on that, obviously.
Well, you never know though, you never know. But it's like I say, it doesn't help.
I don't think the lad who boxed, credit to him, he didn't have anywhere near as much experience as I did. It was just the fact that I was completely drained, uneducated, and that will not only have physical effect on your body, but a mental effect as well. I was going in nervous, thinking, "Oh my God, I'm gonna gas within 30 seconds," which I did. You know.
Well, at least you were right.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So now, obviously, in a program, I know some of the shows, especially the early shows, have a day on weighing, but I'm walking around fine on my weight.
Well, I mean, this is going to be light heavyweight, your first fight.
Yeah.
Your opponent, was it Carl Dobbins, is it? Carl Dobbins?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
I'm not sure, like I say, unboxed. I don't know where he's from, never heard anything about him. But like I say, I know you're going to have the fear factor anyway because you're making your debut. But this is taking it to a whole new level as well. You know, this is a double whammy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you come through this, the experience will be absolutely phenomenal for you going forward.
Of course, yeah. Like I say, I'm easy. Like I say, he could be someone who's making his debut. Could be someone who's had 10 fights, 10 knockouts. I've done my bit in the gym. I've done my bit since last September when I went over to Spain to sort of get myself back on track in terms of get from behind the pads to back in front of the pads, and I've done that with a guy.
Oh, how have you found that then? One last question, like, you know, because I know you obviously keep yourself fit, but you now gone from a guy that, you know, might train once a day to now training at least twice a day, 6 days a week. Has that been easy for you to do, or?
At first it took a lot of adaptation. You know, my sleep was up the wall at one point. Adapting to fueling my training sessions. I couldn't. If you're training once a day for like 3-4 times a week, you've got a lot of refueling time, a lot of rest time and what have you. When you're training twice a day, you've got to fuel your body correctly.
And at the right time as well, I suppose.
Exactly. So there's been a little bit of adaptation, but I've done it. That's why I'm moving into this fight now. Obviously, there's a bit of excitement. There's a little bit of energy within me, but I'm not particularly worried because I've done everything that I've needed to do. And I think if you haven't done everything that you've needed to do, or there's something at the back of your mind, even if you try to convince yourself, oh, I've done enough strength, or I've done enough, my food's been bang on, I've done enough road work. If there's a little bit.
The thing, what you were saying before though, you're now in a gym that's got good pros in there. You know, Marcel was in there before working on there. He's got some big fights coming up, and obviously Fowler used to train out at this gym. You know, there's a lot of other good kids, and obviously the connection with Moss and Collier's. I suppose it makes it a little bit easier because you see what they're doing,
of course.
And you know it's working for them. So obviously in your head you think, oh, I'll try a bit of that.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. You know, if you've got it in the back of your head and you're trying to convince yourself, if you know deep down that you've done everything, then it takes a little bit of the pressure off you. If you've got in the back of your head, you've got little elements of doubt that you're trying to mask in terms of if you haven't done enough road work or you haven't done enough strength or your eating hasn't been the best. They're little elements of doubt that are going to prevail in the end in the back of your mind, and I just know I've covered everything. You know, I've done.
So you seem like a young man with his head screwed on, mate. You seem like you've got a direction, you know where you want to go, and it looks like if everything goes well, you could be getting there very quickly. So fingers crossed for you on Friday. I can't be down there. I'm filming a white collar show, but we have got another kid on there on the same night from VIP. I think Dexon Cozy from Tommy Smith's gym. So good luck for you. And like I say, hopefully when I do see you before, because I'll be catching up with you if you're going to be fighting on our show.
Definitely.
Hopefully I'll be able to say 1-0 to you. And talk about your new opponent.
100%.
Mate, you take care, mate.
Thank you.
See you on. Bye bye.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.